Hello everybody. Today my presentation will be on Robert E. Lee. Lee was a very important man for the South during the Civil War. Lee was born on January 19th, 1807 in Stratford Hill, Virginia, and died on October 12th, 1817 in Lexington, Virginia, and was a U.S. officer from 1829 to 1861, Confederate general from 1861 to 1865, and college president from 1865 to 1870. Robert Edward Lee was the son of Harry Lighthorse Harry Lee and Anne Hill Carter Lee. His father has been a hero of the American Revolution and governor of Virginia, while his uncle and served in Congress and otherwise achieved notable reputations. While Lee was 6 years old, his father moved to West Indies and never returned, leaving his family in financial straitened circumstances. Married in 1831, Lee and his wife, Mary Ann Rudolph Custis Lee, had 7 children, including 3 sons, George, William, and Robert, who followed him into the military to fight the Confederate States during the Civil War. On May 13, 1846, the United States declared war on Mexico. Between the March of September 1847, Lee served on the staff of Winfield Scott during the campaign that ended with the capture of Mexico City. Lee impressed supervisors throughout these operations and cut the eyes of a major, lieutenant, colonel, and colonel. By the time of Lee's promotion to colonel on the 1st Cavalry on March 16, 1861, 7 southern states have succeeded in establishing the Confederate States of America. Confederate artillery bombarded Fort Sumter on April 12th. 2 days later, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln issued a call for 75,000 volunteers to supply the rebellion. On April 18th, the day of Virginia succeeded, Lee was offered command of the United States Army being raised to put down the rebellion. He declined, with the explanation that he opposed secession but could not take the field against the southern states. Saved in the defense of my native state, Lee wrote to General-in-Chief Winfield Scott, I never desired again to draw my sword. Lee submitted his resignation from the U.S. Army on April 20th. After 5 days of processing in the War Department, it's been official on April 25, and on April 22nd, accepted appointment as Major General of Virginia State Forces. As Virginia joined the Confederacy on May 7th, Lee was commissioned as Brigadier General in the Confederate Army on May 14th and promoted to full general on August 31st as a rebellion slaveholding republic 3rd highest ranking officer. As their army surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse on April 9th, 1865, the defeated Confederates returned to their homes to face an uncertain future. When Lee left Appomattox, he began a journey that would take him away from the soldier's life in the field and eventually to Lexington, where his talent for leadership would serve him well as president of a small college. Lee arrived in Lexington in mid-September 1865 and went to work immediately. Over the next 5 years, Washington College grew physically and financially. The faculty increased in size from 4 to 20, enrollment grew from 50 to nearly 400 students, and financial contributors poured in from both southern and northern sources. Lee's personal involvement with many of his students reflected his desire to create a new generation of Americans. Lee's tireless devotion to his duty as president of Washington College eventually took a toll on his health. The outward signs of president of Washington College The outward signs of heart conditions that had plagued him since the Civil War grew more apparent. In the spring of 1870, on the advance of the faculty, he traveled south on vacation. Less than a month into the next school year, on September 28, 1870, he suffered a massive stroke. 2 weeks later, on October 12th, Robert E. Lee died in his home on the college campus.